Hi folks, this is Tim Schrock from Design Build Solutions bringing you today's Tech Tip Tuesday. Today's tip is once again not quite in Chief Architect, but it relates to Chief Architect because I'm going to be creating a material pattern. The trouble with material patterns is that it's difficult to get a pattern that repeats seamlessly and appropriately shaded and looks right here. So I've got this diamond shingle pattern off of the internet from pixabay.com as a free for commercial use, no attribution required texture. I am going to crop it and get these this area 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 whole shingles in here like so. Then I'm going to zoom in. I'm using Photoshop, by the way. I'm going to zoom in on this and refine my crop so that I hit the tips of top and bottom, left and right. I hit the tips of these shingles. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 whole ones and the partial ones beyond that. Now, for this, I'm going to create this offset filter where this lower quadrant on the lower right becomes the upper left and vice versa, upper right, upper left, lower left, upper right, etc. But in order to do that, I need to do some calculations based on the image size. I want to know half of the width and half of the height. So that is 155, and I calculated a moment ago, 128. 155 pixels wide, 128 high. From there, I'm going to do a filter, other, and offset, 155 horizontal, 128 vertical, and do the wraparound option and click OK. Now what I've done is, so I'm seeing the edges matched up perfectly there, and from here then I can just, this is why I'm doing this process. In Chief, this is what you would have seen. You would have seen this light to dark problem. You would have seen this area, incorrectly. You would see all that going on, and it just wouldn't look appropriate in the text, in the rendering. So I'm going to quickly do some clone stamping, some spot healing. I can spot heal along these edges. I can clone stamp this these pieces out. Okay, so that's clone stamped out. Now let's, I can close this window. Let's fix these edges here. This is going to take a little more time because it's just, needs to be a little more accurate. There we go. Now my edges look appropriate. Now I'm going to fix the horizontal line. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that. There goes the tornado test for the county today. And here I'm going to use what's called the spot healing brush tool, and I'm just going to paint across this line and see what Photoshop will do for me. Photoshop does really well here with getting rid of the line, but I can still see the difference here. You see that between the top and the bottom color, if you will. So I'm going to try to, how can I do that? I may have to do spot healing over like the whole tile. That's better. Now it's a more consistent texture across the whole tile. Lastly, I'm going to get rid of these rain marks here. And so I'm going to do the same spot healing brush across the whole width of this rain mark, one tile at a time. All right, not bad. I see one more mark up here that I need to get rid of. I'm going to get rid of this white spot. There you have it, a seamless, repeatable tile pattern that if you look closely, you can still see the cross through the vertical and horizontal. But if I will export this, I'm going to save this, and I'm going to save as. There we go. Now I'm going to go back into Chief Architect. In my library, I'm going to go in my user catalog and I have a materials folder and a new material. Diamond shingles. We're going to select that texture. We're going to set the color using the texture. I'm going to go ahead and set the bump map with that. And the height multiplier, let's bump that up to 0.1. I don't have a lot of experience with this bump map thing, but you can see what it's happening here in the sample. So let's there we go. Kind of dark. Just going to do the bump map. Pattern. There we go. Cedar diagonal. Cedar diagonal? Diamond. That's what I want. Texture is not going to be stretched to fit. The scale, we're going to say 1 across, 2 across. That'd be that's not 10 inches. Let's say 14, say 16 wide, 14 tall. Let's say 16 by 16, see what happens here. And then I'm going to apply this material to this wall. Oh, it didn't change because this wall is not the default. That pattern's huge. There we go. And lastly, would just be to color it with the same. Let's take a rendering of this. See what this looks like. Ah, my walls. I gotta fix all the walls, but I'm not sure why they're jumping like that. It would just be to make the color. So that's not bad. You can see a little bit of the rain and a little bit of the tiling going on. The rain drips, and the tiling still is just a little bit visible, but that's not a bad. Let's change the texture size just a bit. And then I want to paint just, I'm going to take the map out. Bump map. That's a little better. I want a bit brighter color. It's pretty drab. Nope, not that one. I'm going to edit the material with the Adjust Material Definition tool. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to do because like this texture here is an actual texture. It's not blended with any color. So you blend a color with, you blend the same color over any texture, and it's gonna look really odd. Because I can pick this pixel, which is kind of grayish, brownish, or I can select this pixel, which is kind of reddish brownish. This pixel has a lighter brown color, you know, so we're selecting one pixel at a time here, and it's very difficult to make that one color be over the entire piece and not look out of place. So I think that's going to be it for now. Back to my elevation. That looks pretty good there. All right, this is Tim Schrock from Design Build Solutions. Today's Tech Tip Tuesday. We've gone over grabbing a texture. You could have a picture off of your cell phone camera, adjusting it in Photoshop, doing a filter offset. You crop it down to the size you want, doing a filter offset, half the height and half the width, and then adjust, buff out, if you will, with the what are they called? The spot healing brush and the clone stamp tool to get those lines out of there, and then bring that into Chief as a texture in your library, and you can adjust, fine tune the details, the pattern, the color, and get it just right for your thing. Thanks so much for watching. If this has been helpful, I'd appreciate the encouragement. Give me a thumbs up or leave a comment for topics that we can discuss in the future. Have a great week.